World News, DW.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we know even better than we did this morning that Hurricane Mitch, even Tropical Storm Mitch, has more than lived up to its early killer billing. In Central America, hundreds of communities are cut off entirely from help they desperately need. Thousands of people have seen their homes destroyed. And based on the reports that we are getting from the region, it appears that thousands of people have died, most of them in Honduras and Nicaragua. ABC's Ron Claiborne is in Nicaragua tonight, where several villages were simply buried by a giant mudslide.
This is what's left. This is where 4 villages used to sit at the foot of Las Casitas volcano. They're covered now with mud from a massive mudslide that came roaring down the mountain after days of heavy rain. As many as 1,500 people were buried here. I heard what sounded like helicopters, and it was waves of mud coming over us, he says. Not a single house was left. Everywhere there are bodies. Officials say some victims were buried alive, but rescue workers had to leave them where they were because the ground was too unstable to try to pull them out.
Well, you cannot recognize where there were towns there because simply the landslide wiped them out.
Survivors, including this little girl, were airlifted to hospitals. In the nearby town of Posoltega, it was a similar scene of devastation. Homes and lives swept away in what witnesses said seemed like an instant. The hardest hit areas of Nicaragua remain isolated, reachable only by helicopter. All day the choppers have been flying in, bringing medicine and food and water, and returning with survivors. There have not been many. In neighboring Honduras, hundreds of thousands of people have nowhere to live, overwhelming the few shelters. Their homes were destroyed when Hurricane Mitch, then Tropical Storm Mitch, stalled off the Caribbean coast and pounded it for 4 days, bringing flooding and mudslides. No one really knows how many people have died. There are hundreds of villages and small towns in both countries that rescuers, even with helicopters, haven't even reached yet. Ron Claiborne, ABC News, La Paz Centro, Nicaragua.
The other big story of the day has to do with Iraq. The chief UN weapons inspector, Richard Butler, said today that Iraq's decision to stop all cooperation with UN weapons inspectors until economic sanctions are lifted is, as he said, the most serious confrontation with the United Nations so far. President Clinton weighed in with what a mistake this was. But what will the United States do this time? ABC's John McWethy reports tonight there has been a big change in strategy.
The U.S. has been in this situation before. A few UN inspectors did go out today, but only to check on a monitoring camera. The Iraqis prevented the other 40 inspectors there from doing anything. President Clinton said Saddam Hussein's latest refusal was completely unacceptable.
Until the inspectors are back on the job, no options are off the table.
It all sounds so familiar, so threatening, but the truth is this time U.S. strategy is quite different. This time there will be no rush to send more aircraft and ships to the Persian Gulf. This time the Clinton administration is trying to shift responsibility for taking action to the United Nations. A year ago, when Saddam Hussein last defied the UN, Defense Secretary Cohen warned that the world could not risk an interruption of inspections for very long.
Days may go by without posing a threat immediately, but weeks or months, and then he's able to reconstitute his capacity to develop large amounts of chemical and biological weapons.
American officials are making no such dire predictions this time around, though the facts on the ground are not much different. What has changed is a slow erosion of support in the UN Security Council for America's tough stand on Iraq, and a decision by the president that the U.S. does not want to go it alone. John McWethy, ABC News, the Pentagon.
Still with the Middle East, on the day that the latest Israeli-Palestinian peace agreement was to go into effect, there's been another fight over land. This time the Palestinians were demonstrating against Israel's plans to expand a settlement in East Jerusalem. The Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said implementation of the latest agreement would be delayed until his cabinet and the Israeli parliament had approved it. Other news when we come back. It is election eve, of course. We know what the candidates are thinking. What about the voters? And people spending freely in the current economy, but companies tightening up. Who do you think knows best? Tonight's On the Money.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by the new Dodge.
For Dodge Intrepid, we looked beyond a great look and took cab-forward architecture to a new place. With a spacious cabin, a very useful pass-through, and a cavernous trunk, Intrepid is an automobile for today, wrapped in a shape for the next millennium. Well equipped for as low as $20,495.
What a party. I'll never forget it. We started investing in no-load mutual funds with T. Rowe Price right after Randall's first big promotion. People thought we were crazy investing by ourselves. Few people did it back then. Well, we wanted to enjoy our retirement, work with kids, hang out in the backyard, all 40 zillion acres of it.
For over 50 years, we've been helping people invest with confidence. T. Rowe Price.
Summer comes to a close. Here's a warm reminder that at Red Lobster, the season isn't over.
It is the eve of the 98th vote, the midterm election. All 435 House seats up tomorrow, 34 seats in the Senate at stake, and 36 governors. It has been a last frenzied weekend for the politicians. The question is, to what effect? The air is full of predictions that there's going to be a particularly low turnout tomorrow. First of all, here's ABC's John Cochran.
All over the country today, whether it was union workers canvassing for Democrats in Nevada or Republicans manning phone banks in Maryland.
I appreciate your support for Ellen Sauerbrei.
Or the First Lady in New York. Everywhere, campaigns were still trying to gin up voter interest in an election where so many Americans are turned off and may not turn up at the polls tomorrow. For weeks, Newt Gingrich has traveled around the country trying to ignite voter turnout for Republicans. He will finish with a rally tonight. The latest ABC poll shows there may be a small voter backlash at Republicans because of their new anti-Clinton ads. 50% of likely voters say Republicans in Congress are too hard on the president. That's up 5% from a week ago. Apart from disgust with both the scandal and with negative campaigning, Americans are a pretty happy lot. 78% rate the economy positively. 73% approve of their congressional representative. With so many people content, there are not many burning issues pushing people to vote.
Go and vote. It's important that we all vote.
The Christian Coalition has tried to fight voter apathy by handing out voter guides showing where candidates stand on issues like abortion and gay rights.
Every church ought to have a bunch of those so they'll be prepared when they walk in the polls and vote.
That's right.
Black leaders have traveled all over the country trying to jolt people into voting with whatever it takes, including humor.
We need to vote early, and if we could vote often, it'd be great.
In Congress alone, the stakes are high. Will the Democrats regain control of the House? Will enough Republicans be elected to the Senate to overturn any presidential veto? Put that way, there is very little reason for any voter to feel apathetic. John Cochran, ABC News, Washington.
Well, we are joined tonight in election eve mode, which will be election day mode, by Cokie Roberts and Sam Donaldson. Take this on from where John Cochran did on low voter turnout and some of the consequences.
Well, the consequences are really high this year because as we at ABC look at the House races right now, we are seeing a tiny Republican pickup of maybe 2 seats. But if there's a huge black voter turnout, that could make a difference. And if 1% difference, 1% of black voters stay home in a lot of these races, Republicans could pick up a lot more seats.
That's a very bold projection on election eve, too.
It is, and I could live to regret it tomorrow night. But as we look at our district by district right now, that's the way it's looking.
Sam, we're rather glib about low voter turnout, but the consequences can be very serious.
Let me give you 2 examples of how just a few votes in the Senate this last year could have made a difference. Congress passed a bill to ban late-term abortions. The president vetoed it. The Senate failed to override it. Republicans really wanted to override it by just 3 votes. On the other side, Democrats wanted to bring up an HMO reform, a Patient's Bill of Rights, in the Senate. They failed in a parliamentary maneuver to do it by just 2 votes. So if people on either side of an issue think it doesn't matter, go to the polls tomorrow. They're dead wrong.
So you both have done your civic duty, get out and vote, right?
We have. Sam and I have each voted absentee since we'll
But
be here with you tomorrow.
I didn't have to make a prediction. She's out on a limb and I'm not.
That's true. Out
If anybody make her suffer, Sam, you will. Thank you. Thank you, Robertson, Sam Donaldson here for our election coverage tomorrow. Of course, coming up later this evening on this broadcast, in fact, coming up in just a moment, the business news. Companies spending less and what it will mean to your economic growth.
The good old days of supermarket shopping, when nothing stood between you and your next meal. Nothing. But today, there are materials that help lock out harmful contaminants and reduce spoilage, keeping us safe and the food we eat fresh. Plastics make it possible. So now, the rest is history.
Beep.
With its unique Wide-Track design, the Wide-Track Grand Prix Sports Sedan provides better cornering and control when you're out for a bite. The Wide-Track Grand Prix by Pontiac. Wider is better.
Before you do this or this or this, you want to have this and this and this.
You'd be surprised how much of our technology goes into your day.
So for this or this.
We're Siemens.
We can do that.
Some people call it retirement planning. I think of this as future construction. Year by year, block by block, until...
It's our dream house.
Beautiful. But I was hoping we could afford to travel.
This plan can help make it happen. We can even make sure you've got worry-free income for life.
AXA. Dynamic vision. Equitable. A trusted resource. Call us. Equitable is a member of the Global AXA Group.
When it comes to your health, never compromise, even when choosing a laxative. You need one that's strong enough to work overnight, but also gentle. Try doctor-recommended Dulcolax. Its comfort coating even protects your stomach. Get strong, get gentle, get doctor-recommended Dulcolax.
In the money reporting tonight, people are spending money. Spending was up 0.5% in September. In many cases, however, people are spending more than they're making and are dipping into their savings. Americans do not save as diligently as in many other countries. And in September, the saving rate was the worst in 40 years. Businesses are spending less. New orders to factories way down last month, and manufacturing activity declined to its weakest level in more than 2.5 years, which is further tangible evidence that problems elsewhere are a drag on the U.S. economy. Here's ABC's Betsy Stark.
It's hard to make money when your customers around the world cannot afford your products and your competitors around the world are offering them at a cheaper price. That's the simple math many American businesses face right now, and until it changes, cost-cutting is the order of the day. Companies hurt by weak overseas sales are cutting budgets and putting expansions on hold. Nearly 2/3 of the big company CEOs surveyed recently by the Business Council say they've pared back their spending plans. And so have smaller businesses. David Goodrow manufactures airplane parts in California. Boeing is one of his biggest customers. As orders for new planes from Asia have dried up, Boeing's business has suffered, and Goodrow has delayed plans to relocate to a more modern factory.
I think across the board, people are really bearish on what's going to be going on. And I think that I have yet to hear of anybody that says that they're going forward with expansion plans.
For the U.S. economy as a whole, that's an ominous development, and a big reason some economists are still talking about the possibility of a recession.
I mean, business spending has been a driving force in the expansion, accounting for almost 1/3 of the growth in the economy during this expansion over the past nearly 8 years. So slower business investment means a slower growing economy.
How much slower depends on how deeply businesses cut back and how often those cutbacks include job layoffs. The job numbers for October will be released later this week. Betsy Stark, ABC News, New York.
Still on the money, it was a strong day on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrials were up more than 114 points to close at 8706. On the NASDAQ today, stocks gained more than 29 points. Incidentally, the NASDAQ has a parent company, the National Association of Securities Dealers. And today they merged with an American institution, the American Stock Exchange. Soon, it is said, they will merge with the Philadelphia Exchange. Here's a first. The mutual fund State Street Global Advisors has been granted a patent for a computerized stock picking technique. It uses complex equations to figure out the best stocks to buy, and rivals say that State Street hasn't cornered the market on the market, but maybe try to make investors believe it knows something that others do not. The Food and Drug Administration has approved a new drug today to help people who suffer from moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis. There are 1 million of them. The drug is called Enbrel, and it stops swelling in arthritic joints by aching on the protein, or rather acting on the protein that causes it. When we come back, good help is sometimes hard to find. We'll take a closer look at the dearth of customer service in America.
Introducing the new Silverado. It's bigger. It's more powerful. It's the truck from Chevrolet.
There are those among us with very simple tastes. They only want the best. And for them, there's Fancy Feast gourmet cat food. Exceptionally moist and delicious. Fancy Feast. Good taste is easy to recognize.
The greatest thing I've ever done is marry Mary. Our goal has been pretty simple. You want to lead a good life? We buy, we sell, we investigate, we learn.
What channel is this going on?
And we then like to go on to Schwab and look up the research on the different stocks.
Kite has always been much more conservative.
And here again, the PE ratio is 57, which is high. Marion has been a raging bull.
Another thing we look at is the long-term growth rate. We enjoy playing, we enjoy investing, we enjoy traveling.
But smooching is still good.
I had questions about investing, and nobody would answer my questions. And then one day my friend was telling me about stocks and that she wanted to start a stock group. We go to the meetings, we talk about everything, you know, children and parenting and politics, and then we talk about which stocks look good. And I come home and say, okay, let's do this with the girls' money. Let's invest in this stock. This looked the best to me. And we learned about it on Schwab.com, right? So you can go to college.
Gosh, you know, I just went to use the phone.
You say once you got back, your wife was gone.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
What?
Have you checked the hot enchilada?
Oh, no. Millicent gets terrible heartburn.
Not this time.
What's that?
Looks like the remains of an individually wrapped Pepsid AC chewable.
Introducing Pepsid AC Chewables, the first chewable to stop heartburn before it starts.
Millicent? Is that you?
Start living heartburn-free with new Pepsid AC Chewables.
We're going to take a closer look this week at service, by which we mean the kind of service that people do or do not get from other people in the course of their daily lives. In a service economy, which increasingly America has become, one might think that personal service was even more valued than it has been in the past. But it does not seem to be the case. At least one survey we looked at finds people reporting customer satisfaction in general falling every year for the last 4 years. Denise Ettinger says she knows all about bad service.
I feel like I've been taken advantage of by companies that don't seem to want to back up the products that they're selling. And even if they do provide a customer service, they don't have qualified service technicians.
There was the $999 stove that she bought.
I had a problem with this oven for approximately 4 years. And I had to replace the oven with another model, and they wouldn't come and take it away. They just left it sitting here in my hallway, taking up all this space.
And the $150 garage door opener that didn't work. In that case, service was so inconsistent.
They've sent about 6 or 7 repairmen. One person even suggested that I put a surge protector on, and then the next serviceman that they sent said, "Why do you have this on here?"
Maybe Denise Ettinger is unlucky, but not according to Texas A&M professor Leonard Berry.
I give service in America a C-.
Professor Berry teaches a class on service. He says that as the number of complaints rise, there's a real message for America's corporations.
It's good business. Companies make more money that deliver good service.
In the 1950s and the 60s, people had more time and service seemed so much better. But the analysts say that in today's America, something else is missing.
It's more than a business issue, improving service. It's more than a financial or economic issue. This is a quality of life issue. This is a central issue in American life today.
Denise Ettinger agrees.
I could be spending quality time with my children rather than sitting at my computer writing letters or having to threaten them with an attorney's letter or going to a Better Business Bureau or the Consumer Advocates Department.
We all know that Denise Ettinger is not alone. But as ABC's Juju Chang reports tonight, consumers actually may be bringing some of this on themselves.
All agents are currently busy. Please hold for assistance. We're sorry, you have not. Please remain on the line and your call.
In a time of corporate cost-cutting, customer care is often the first thing to go.
We have seen a transformation from flabby inefficiency to a lean, mean machine. And the machine is now a little too mean.
Customers complain that airlines are the meanest of all.
I gotta tell you, I'm smoking inside.
They cut meal service and saved roughly $100 million a year.
We do expect a fairly full flight.
Since the 70s, legroom has shrunk by 3 inches to squeeze in more passengers.
Oh, it's hideous. It seems like more and more it's way too crowded.
Overall, customer satisfaction has dropped steadily since 1994, according to business professor Klaus Fernell.
They have replaced people and put machines in instead.
Banks cut 1 in every 10 tellers in the last decade. But it's not just downsizing that's doing away with the human touch. Banks are also trying to please their customers who want access to their money anytime.
Please enter your Citi card number now.
Any place.
8670.
In addition to convenience, customers also want the lowest prices.
We want the butterball turkey, $5.99, 2.5 pounds in each pack.
Which is why No Frills discount stores are so popular. Our shopping priorities have helped revolutionize the way companies tailor their service.
And we're in fact saying to the companies, look, what we really care about is low prices, and we'll tolerate the lower service.
So bargain hunters are in part to blame for the erosion of service. But there's another explanation: a healthy economy.
Ideally, you never want pizzas waiting on a rack, waiting for delivery people, but I can't find enough people.
Frank Meek says when the economy was bad, he'd get hundreds of overqualified job seekers.
1629 K Street.
Now he's had to sweeten the pay and benefits just to find a few good delivery men.
Everybody's having a tough time finding enough people, and when you don't have enough people in a Domino's business or an office situation, it's just tougher to have great service.
So if the wait seems longer, the assistant's less courteous, you're right. But in some ways, you asked for it.
I need a pickup.
Juju Chang, ABC News, New York.
Well, to pick up on that thought, declining service is, of course, bad for consumers, especially if you're the one getting it. But tomorrow we're going to look at how it might affect the entire economy. When we come back this evening, a visit with payload specialist Glenn.
Hey, Grandpa, tonight we'll be at your house, and I got a surprise for you.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light you see, darling, darling,
isn't it a good surprise?
Stand by me.
The Sabre by Buick. Peace of mind.
Stand by me.
With Transamerica Investments and Insurance Products, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to plan for your financial future. The people in the pyramid working for you.
Cars are now breaking the sound barrier. Serves are clocked at 140. We can travel 18,000 miles an hour into space. So how come pain relief isn't faster? Introducing Advil Liquid Gels, the first and only pain reliever in a faster-acting liquid-filled capsule that's gentle on your stomach. On tough pain, Advil liquid gels are stronger and faster than extra strength Tylenol. Headaches to muscle aches. New Advil liquid gels. Advanced medicine for pain. Stronger and faster.
With Transamerica Life Insurance and your estate plan, you can be sure your money will go where you want it to go. The people in the pyramid working for you.
On Spin City, there are campaign promises.
The mayor's declared this Thursday the first annual Tolerance Day. Oh, Mike, shut up, Paul.
Lou Diamond Phillips guest stars.
I'm just going to hit the head.
And Mike's in therapy.
I'm just a little concerned that everybody's going to be able to tell that I'm seeing a shrink.
With a special hour this huge, it must be November. See ya, Election Tuesday.
Brief review of our major story tonight. What's left of Hurricane Mitch has caused staggering damage in Nicaragua and Honduras. Floods and mudslides. Thousands of people, we believe, have been killed. Entire villages, certainly we know, cut off from the rest of the world. Hundreds of villages still haven't been reached by rescue crews. Finally this evening, we check in on the space shuttle. John Glenn and the others, as they're now accustomed to being called, have had a fairly relaxed day in space. And in keeping with its public relations campaign, the Space Agency has set it up for us to have a brief chat with Senator Glenn and his commander on Discovery, Curtis Brown. Senator Glenn, you're a very fit 77-year-old. Everybody knows that. How would an ordinary 77-year-old be faring if he or she were up there today?
Well, I think you'd have to be in good health to come up here, and I guess I'm in pretty good health. At least the doctors tell me that. But an average 77-year-old person that's in good health could certainly come up here with and experience this.
Are you worried, Commander, that when Senator Glenn gets back on the ground, that this rush of interest in space might dissipate?
Well, I sure hope not. It's very nice to see all the folks around the world, and definitely the United States very interested in our space program, our launch on Thursday. And as I've seen in the news articles over the past few days, very interested in the continuation of the mission.
Senator Glenn, you've had 7.5 hours to allegedly relax today. What constitutes relaxation in orbit?
What comprises relaxation here is really standing on your head and looking at things from a different direction. I could just as well turn right here, right now, and turn your studio up one side or the other like this, Peter, if you can see me coming up there. And that's not your studio turning over, that's us turning up, and that's just a normal part of the floating around up here, so I'll have to get back in the picture here. But things like that, and just learning to live up here and experiment with different things as you take on this gravity, anti-gravity or negative gravity situation is enough to really spend your free time looking at for a while.
Certainly nice to know it wasn't our studio upside down. That is our report on World News Tonight. Later on Nightline, how big business and special interests are spending millions of dollars to get your vote this year. And tomorrow night, by the way, I hope you will join us for our election coverage. It will be fairly current throughout the day. In fact, it'll be very current throughout the day and fairly constant on and off with all of the latest results. I'm Peter Jennings. Hope you have a good evening. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Tomorrow, fed up with bad service, companies are cutting back. But in the end, who loses, you or them? Watch ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.